Hello, so this is David again. I'm going to tell you now about another tip for teachers. Again, something you know about quite well, I think. Actors enroll or teachers enroll, students enroll. And the most common way to do this is with hot seating. So the idea that somebody pretends to be another character and they answer questions as if they were that character. You'll see an example of this if you look at our 2-minute video challenge, the third one. You'll see another example of it if you see our interview with Agatha Christie, where Lenka was playing the role of Agatha Christie. And here's just another simple way to set it up in a classroom. It's a very good activity, though. It's a very good way to introduce information on a topic you would have in your book. So, for example, if I was teaching from a textbook, there could be, and I'm really just making up an example now, something about space travel, for example. It could be anything at all, a football player, prisoners, or whatever the topic is, or the jungle. And you will tell your teachers, your students, sorry, okay, we're going to look at this passage quite soon about space travel. But before we do that, I'm going to invite an astronaut into the classroom and he's going to answer some of your questions. So for 2 minutes, please get together and think of questions you could ask a real astronaut. Okay, you give them a little bit of time, you let them probably work in groups to think of the questions, and I find that works better, but it depends online, of course, as you like, in rooms or individually. And then you come back in character already. Now, you don't have to change. Last time in my 2-minute thing, I did Beethoven, I just scruffled my hair up a little bit. If you have an astronaut costume you could wear, that would be fantastic and would make the lesson even more interesting. But there's no need. You can just walk in, introduce yourself and say, hello, I am Buzz McNugget, the famous astronaut, and I would like to answer some of your questions. I understand you have questions for me. And then try and elicit the students' questions. And the great thing about the activity is if I know I've got a passage in the book and there's a lot of certain vocabulary or information, I can pre-teach that information by giving more complicated answers than the questions demand. So for example, somebody asked me, what is it like in space? I can answer, it's an incredible feeling to be flying through space and seeing the Earth from a distance. We made a series of photographs of the Earth and they became very famous, and it was very interesting to see the sun behind the Earth, for example, if that would be in the passage. So you can be pre-teaching, feeding in things that you know will be coming up later as part of your hot seating interview. So teacher enroll, student enroll, you can ask them to answer questions as favorite personalities, people they like or admire, or you can give them a job to find out about Charles Dickens and answer questions the next day as Charles Dickens. I would say simply though that if you're putting students in role answering questions, it's better if possible to find a way to have them answering in a group so there's not too much pressure on one person who maybe isn't good at improvising or just feels self-conscious being the only one. So a little group of 3 makes that safer. But that's the activity. Teachers enroll, students enroll. Thank you.